Our next question is for the area-wide candidates, and we will start with Maria. The CBJ Finance Department is projecting a $12 million deficit over fiscal years 2015 and 2016. At the same time, the city has several $1 million in reserve funds. As an assembly member, how would you decide whether or not to dip into those reserve funds to balance the city's budget?
Well, there's two different reserve funds. There's a reserve fund that's sort of harder to get into, and a reserve fund that is the reserve of balance. And the harder to get into fund should only be used for emergencies, when the community, if the the capital move, those sorts of things. And the assembly is working to add money to those funds with sales tax revenues, and so that's a good thing. And regarding the deficit, again, we need to work together for practical solutions. There is not a silver bullet to these issues. It's going to be piecemeal, working together, looking squarely at the budget, looking at all the line items, incentivizing employees to get smart with their work, and so there you go. I passed.
The same question for you, Tom.
Yes, there's three aspects. There's the taxation side. There's an increasing revenue to the borough by increasing taxes. There is the possibility, and I'm not saying that I'm for that. There's the possibility of wringing more savings from the borough workforce by either cuts or those kinds of things. And then there's increasing revenue from growth. And the problem with taxation, of course, is you're adding to the cost of housing and the cost of living here, which is totally the wrong thing. So if we can encourage growth in the community, in which there's any number of ways that we can do that, if you increase the value of properties, let's say you increase the value of a property twice, the borough gets twice as much revenue from that piece of property. And so it's the area of growth that I think we need to look at first, followed by these other areas, increases of taxes or some other thing.
It's important that we have an economic development plan for our community. The economic development plan will help us to plan our community's growth and to make sure that we maintain our quality of life. Our budget issues are very real and very important. The city manager, along with the assembly, are working to reduce our deficit, and we need to follow through with the economic plan. We need to revisit the economic plan regularly to keep us moving forward. We must deal with our community budget shortfall so that we can maintain our quality of life in our community. I need the details of the financial reports that were provided to the assembly before offering solutions. I'd like to continue to communicate with the public and seek their input in order to help find solutions. The last McDowell survey showed clearly that the Juneau public doesn't want to increase taxes or fees, and that the assembly needs to keep this in mind as it develops solutions to the budget problems. I can make hard decisions, but I want to make sure that I have all of the information before adopting a solution.
Thank you. Our next question is for the District 2 candidates, and we will start with you, Joshua. In light of the city's multi-million-dollar budget shortfall, if forced to cut spending, what areas would you look at cutting first?
I think in cutting spending, we definitely need to look for efficiencies that we need to have in the city government. There's a lot of projects that we seek outside consultants for and pay money for them to tell us what's wrong with our own buildings. I think we could use efficiencies so we have a regular maintenance schedule so we know what's broken, when to fix it, and to fix it early before it becomes untenable. There's not a lot left to cut in this town unless people want to lose services and things they enjoy in the town. And so I have a hard time finding more room for cuts, but I think what we really need is efficiencies and possibly get our recreational facilities to be a little bit more in the black by slightly raising user fees, which I know nobody really wants, but in order to keep those in town, I think they need to get closer but not into the black.
Same question for you, David.
Thank you very much. Good question. I think we need to maintain our infrastructure as it is. We have to fix what we have without gaining any more on top of that. I think the other thing is encourage long-term sustainable jobs within the community, however that's defined. Economic incentives, encouraging people to come here. That in turn would generate revenue back into and lower our debt is another area. And that's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned. I think once you generate those two things, and rigorous enforcement about a budget line by line if necessary. That'll help you down with that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the things that we need to look at is some of the money that we're spending on outside consultants, outside engineering. We need to utilize the city employees that we do have to the best of our ability. I believe that my work in private industry, I have a different way of looking at budgeting. In government, you tend to write out your wish list of everything you do want, and then you try to get the money to cover it. In private industry, we look at how much money we have and how much we can accomplish with that. Keeping that in mind, the one area that we really cannot afford to cut any further is our public safety. Our firefighters, police department, the guys who are taking care of the streets, plowing the roads, those are areas that can't be cut. Everything else will have to be on the table. I still think we can do that without raising the user fees too much, but we are going to have to look at some solutions.
Thank you.